already. So, also welcome on behalf of me. I think I'm the cowboy of the group a bit. So I'm going to have a bit of a different story. My story is partly about entrepreneurship and how excited I am that all of you are here and are starting on this beautiful journey. So the first thing when you enter the space is to leave the egos outside, because what we're doing here, we're learning, we need to adapt, and we need to work together. So it's very important. The second thing, some of you might have seen the videos from Alexei and me, is that every day we start with very positive energy. I like you all to come in and think, my goodness, this is going to be an amazing day, and go for it. And I hope every day when I enter, I like to get some high fives from you guys. And I think even to practice it, it would be a good practice now to high five someone next to you. Yeah, make it happen. I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it. Yes.
It's contagious.
So I made a small visualization of what's going to happen during the program. You start as a small seed, and you will all end like a beautiful flower. And this is all because of growth. And I recently, like 2 weeks ago, I heard this story about this campus that actually, correct me if I'm wrong, but it has like the most diversity of trees in Europe on a square kilometer. So I advise you all to walk around to the gardens and observe what is here. And I once heard this small poem about a seed. And the poem goes like this. It's called They Tried to Bury Us, They Didn't Know We Were Seeds. And it goes like, the tallest tree in the forest was once just a tiny seed that held its ground, and the tiny seed knew that in order to grow it needed to be dropped in dirt, covered in darkness, and struggled to reach the light. And this is very symbolic for the whole startup journey that you're going through. And like many years ago, I heard this story about the elephant and the stick. I don't know if any of you ever heard this story, but basically what it comes down to is that when elephants are still small babies, they get tied to a stick, and when they grow up, even though they're way more powerful, they still believe that the stick can hold them in place. And this is about conditioning. And this is something I think you as entrepreneurs decided to break through and decide, hey, I'm not going to stay where I am in life, I'm going to adapt something, and I'm going to make something greater out of my life. So how it usually starts, I use some very pessimistic view of what a normal job looks like, but I think a lot of people, they start with some unhappiness about their current situation in life, and it can get very frustrating. You hear some recycling bins for hopes and dreams, but at some point you decide, hey, I'm going to do something and I'm going to change. And the beauty about it is that you need to see life as 3 different levels. Most people, they start out with the paycheck to paycheck level, and, which is kind of nice, but in the end you want some more freedom and you want to go for something you believe in, so you go project to project. But the most fun is when you go for adventure to adventure and actually dive into something that you don't know anything about, which you guys probably are doing here. Some of you are a bit more experienced, but just dive in deep and see where you'll get. And this is like at some point you take action and you decide to go for these things. I once saw this funny thing: you can't outrun your problems, so I bought a speedboat. I found it very funny, but anyway. And this thing is all about taking action. Action speaks louder than words, and this Nike quote symbolizes this really nice. And it's all about putting yourself out there and getting outside of your comfort zone, because the whole magic happens here with other people, with people that teach you something that you don't know yet, and challenge your own belief structures. It's good to always be around people that are different than you, because they challenge your whole thinking. And at some point you will decide, hey, there is more in me than meets the eye, and I go for something beautiful. So the cat becomes the lion, and this is what you guys are all working on right now. And yeah, the symbolization, I've got to break free. This is what entrepreneurship is about. And you decide, hey, I'm gonna decide I can do it. I believe in myself. I can do it, and go for it. I have a dream, and usually people start with a really absurd dream. So here's a radiator deciding to be a musical instrument, but this is something, you have this unattainable goal and you go for it. And this, I couldn't find an elephant with a stick, so I got a dog that basically pulled the stick out of the ground. But bear with the example. And the thing is, with a startup, like most startup founders, they always think, I have the golden idea, this magical golden idea that will fix everything in my life, and so on. But the whole trick is that it's all about execution, execution, execution. just like with the water project, I heard about a different startup that was kind of similar. Probably everywhere in the world there are 10, 20 other startups going for a similar opportunity as you. And the only thing that differentiates you from them is execution, execution, execution. So I hope you guys really go for that. So right now you're at the start, and the start always finds a bit, it's a bit shaky, it's a bit, yeah, how do you say it? It's a bit challenging, but you go for it. And in the beginning you have no idea what's going to happen, but you gotta enjoy this whole process. And I once heard this quote. The quote says, "Every professional once started as an amateur," and that's basically also for you guys. You start out now and feel confident that one day you will arrive at that beautiful painting over there. And yeah. So how did I start out? Just to show you guys, this was me with hair back in the 90s, some good years. I hope one day you will Google it and you will see me also. But yeah, anyway. So a startup. Just to fix some confusion about what is a startup. I always love this definition. A startup is a temporary organization designed to search for a repeatable and scalable business model. And that's exactly what this program is about. The temporary part is really important. A lot of things will change. It got addressed already a couple of times. And this is, how do you say it? Let go of that your startup is a fixed and rigid thing. It's going to change 10,000 times. You got to love it. So I also joined a startup once, and it kind of shocked me, because the whole journey of a startup is something that might come unexpected. Because I planned this beautiful line, and in the end it went like this. And I once saw this clothing tag, "Whole day I'm fucking busy, only get few money." This describes the whole startup journey. You gotta love the process instead of being triggered by result of payment. And the whole beauty is that in the end you turn chaos into order, and this is your job. Yeah. And this is also addressed. It's all about having fun in the process, and if you're not having fun, you're not doing it right. So make sure that every day you walk out with a smile instead of a very disgruntled thing that something didn't go as planned. And in the end, this fun, this will radiate amongst all of you, and I hope thereby this group becomes like this tight-knit family of positive people that are going to push each other through this whole program. So the second term is always the entrepreneur. What is an entrepreneur? I once heard this quote: "Don't ask kids what they want to be when they grow up, but what problems do they want to solve." And this is like the core of what you guys are doing. Be obsessed with the problem you're solving. Don't be obsessed with the fixed result or one label that you put on the product. It's going to change continuously. Be focused on the problem continuously. So some example of entrepreneurs. You have the simplest entrepreneur who just asks some simple money. You have people that are more creative. And you have kids that are just born with it. I hope some of you are really born with it. But in the end, like, the biggest difference between a businessman and an entrepreneur is that you use your creativity. You don't just upmarket with some extra margin, but you really come up with an innovative solution and do something different with the basic ingredients that you get. So right now, looking into this room, this is what I see. Yeah, I don't know if any of you know this picture, but this is actually the Microsoft team in 1978, and this is the famous thing: would you have invested? This is the beauty. Like, you all start fresh, and you're not on this global playing field yet, but you guys are the leaders of tomorrow if you push for it, and I hope you guys will succeed very far. So I like to look at this room like this. I like to see as you guys all reaching for space and going for the unattainable and making it happen. And I heard this quote from the CEO of Facebook: "If you're ever offered a seat on a rocket ship, don't ask for a seat, just get on." And this is the whole startup journey. Just go for it. And an entrepreneur is someone special, because I think most people in society, they are very, how do you say it, they push away responsibilities. Every time they see something, they get annoyed about it and whatever, and they complain to their friends and whatever. But an entrepreneur is different. An entrepreneur thinks, hey, this is an opportunity to step in, change something, and make it better. And that's what you guys are all doing. You saw something that frustrated you, and you decided, hey, I'm going to change it, I'm going to take responsibility for it, and go for it. And thereby, with all the gray and the negative things in the world, you guys are like the artists that paint the world more beautiful. And I hope the world gets filled with way more entrepreneurs in the future, and we can go into a way more positive society than we have right now. And the beauty about an entrepreneur is that you need to think completely outside of the box. Yeah? Don't be bound by the thinking cages or the conditioning that you have, but go creatively for whatever you believe in. This quote I heard, an entrepreneur is someone who jumps off a cliff and builds a plane on the way down. And so a little insider joke is that I tried this once and I tried to start my own airline and it failed. But it's about using what you have and turning it into something that you can fly with. And another very important thing is you need to surround yourself with people that are on the same mission as you. And this is the people that are sitting here. You got to become a family, you got to support each other, and you got to go for making it happen together. And that doesn't mean just staying in this room and filling in the business model canvas. It also means going for a break together, lunching together, having dinner together, having beers together, and really pushing each other forward and challenging each other and going forward. And I hope you guys at the end of this thing will become a very tight-knit family and go for these things. So the journey always starts like this. You have this goal and you will get challenged by everyone along the way. Your fears, guilt, family members, everyone is very critical. And the whole trick is to learn what to ignore. And I found this image of a prisoner once. One sees the beautiful landscape and keeps painting, and the other one sees the bars. And this is exactly with all the negative feedback and stuff. See through it and move forward. Another very important thing is the 3 Fs. This is something you hear in the startup world, friends, family, and fools. And this is probably when you start and you tell your great startup idea to your mother. She will say, that's a fantastic idea. And she will only support you and whatever, but this is often not a very objective way to look at things. And then in the end, and you have some fools who believe in you and give you your first money. But the trick is to challenge yourself with people that really, really challenge you and make sure that you are doing the right things. So ignore the people that say it cannot be done, go for it, and be a bit, in Dutch we say, plank voor de kop. It means having a board in front of your head and just going for it. Because in the end, you need to push through the small failures, because in the beginning you think you're failing, but you're actually learning. And this is the whole trick. Constantly keep moving forward. Don't see it as an end result, but keep going. Don't believe my word. I put these 2 best friends together, Steve Jobs and Bill Gates, and they both say the same thing. I once saw this video about picking up the phone. Everything is just about every day going out there, calling the next person and going for things. And if you do this often enough, you will succeed, because you will find people that believe in you and that will support your ideas. And this is the trick in the end, turn all these no's into a yes. And this all has to do with persistence and constantly adapting and learning and pushing forward. So I have some small survival tips for you guys during the program. Usually I have the Chuck Norris picture showing this. I didn't think it was super appropriate. The first thing is invest in people and people will invest in you. And this is very, very important. Don't be selfish during this program. Whoever needs help, go to them and help them. Because you'll be surprised how they will help you 2 weeks later when you are in trouble. So build the relationships before you need them and maintain them. The second thing is go with baby steps and be patient about what you're doing. As long as you're making progress, you're doing great. Take risks, fail fast, and GSD. Anybody knows what GSD means? Get shit done. Yeah, this is the sassy way of saying, go for it. And you got to learn by doing. Yeah. Scars tell better stories than tattoos, and this is the whole thing. Learn by doing. Make mistakes, fall on your face flat, and learn from these things and go for it. But this tattoo also, of course, tells a great story. I don't know it, but go for these things. And you never know how close you are. In most cases, you got to push for things, and you barely realize that you're almost there. You're totally exhausted, but you got to keep going. And so never give up on your dreams. But in some cases, it's okay to give up, because it can also bite you in the ass if you awake the wrong time. And this has to do with competition instead. Another thing is constraints are a blessing. If you see the toilet roll here, we've all been in this situation probably. The less toilet paper is on the roll, the more creative you get. Yeah? And this is the whole thing also with startups and budget. Don't complain you don't have enough money. It's a challenge to your creativity, and use it in your advantage. And simplicity is often the best thing. This artwork I once saw, it's just pieces of paper creating different faces by folding it, and it really, it inspired me to think about simplicity and how easy the solution often is. And also, if you look at what your product is going to be, the whole trick is to make it as simple as possible. In the beginning, you think you need all these things to convince someone about what you're doing, but in the end, you just need one thing to convince them. Go for this one simple thing. Another very important thing is to strive for progress and not perfection. I see this mistake constantly. Perfection is a very time-demanding thing. Make sure you make progress and don't get stuck in this last 5 or 10%. This will bite you in the ass. You just got to keep moving forward and finish things. Get in the habit of being good enough and pushing forward and succeeding. And always be selling. This is very important. And the easiest way of selling is by telling great stories that people share. Because your whole startup depends upon word of mouth. You have this concept called OPN, other people's network, and this is your biggest driver for success. Make sure that everything you do, either you share it on social media or whatever, but get the word out there, get people talking about you. So feel free to take as many selfies as you like, or record a conversation with another person. Make sure you get stories out there that people talk about. And another thing is the chain of belief. I don't know if some of you ever saw this video from Derek Sivers about how to start a movement.
Yes.
It basically goes like this. There's a crazy guy who's dancing in front of in the field all alone, and all of a sudden one person joins him, and because one person joins him, other people start dancing with him, and before you know it, the whole thing is crowded. And I call this the chain of belief. And the first thing is to believe in your idea yourself. You got to wake up and think, this is what I'm going for. You got to believe it, you got to feel it. The second thing is to believe in yourself that you're able to execute on this idea. And once you do these two things, people will start picking up on this. And they will start believing in you, and you will find a team member that believes in you. And this third layer of belief enters the fourth layer, that the customer will believe in your product because you have a team member and so on. And if you have a customer, an investor will believe in you. And this chain of belief, make this a habit of constantly proving this chain of belief within your startup. So what we're doing right now is a mindset shift. The blockchain is a very special topic. As some of you might know, I'm extremely passionate about it, and I'm not going to rant for 40 more minutes about the blockchain, but I will highlight why it's very important. The whole thing is that we're going to a shift of what we think an organization is about. An organization is, I think, no longer just about profit, but it's about making an impact and doing something more than just a financial goal, but really impacting the world and driving change. And I think if you look at most of the blockchain models, it's about connection, and it's about mapping how we're all related and how we're valuable to each other. And therefore I believe we're moving away from the business to consumer and business to business thing. It's going to be human to human. It's about seeing the value of the connection and making something beautiful out of it. I saw this picture, and it symbolizes for me what most blockchain startups are about. They shift away from profit to purpose, they ditch hierarchies, and they empower networks. They go from controlling to empowering people that use it, and they go from planning to experimenting. And in the end, they go from privacy to transparency. And these are the main drivers for the blockchain startups that we're supporting. So a couple of years ago, I will tell a tiny bit about blockchain if you guys are still in it. Everyone's still excited?
Hey!
Okay.
Hey.
I want to test it with one more high five. Feel it. Okay. I'm happy. Cryptocurrency. So this image basically said it all. Like a couple of years ago, this Bitcoin thing popped up out of nowhere. And if you went to the supermarket and you bought groceries with your euros or your dollars, the cart would get more empty and empty, but the Bitcoin did something special. It got fuller and fuller. There's a small inside joke I always make. Throughout the years, I've been paying people with Bitcoin. I paid a friend a hotel night a couple of years ago in January 2015 for 70 euros. And now it's 1,700 euros or something like that. So a couple of years down the line, this will be the most expensive hotel night I've ever paid for, because the whole value of Bitcoin keeps increasing like crazy constantly. Also, I meet a lot of people who think, this whole blockchain thing and Bitcoin thing is just a hype and I'm already too late. And they all keep waiting for this magical moment to jump on this train. I'm happy you guys decided I'm jumping on the train now. But a lot of people, they just sit waiting, and they will see it pass by, and I think it's very important to jump on it as early as possible. I don't know if you know the app Blockfolio. It basically is to check the exchange rates of your cryptocurrencies. People that check it every day, like they lay awake at night and they get very happy every day because you only see green and grow. Anyway, it's a small side story. The thing is with blockchain, it's a revolution in the sense that it's about decentralization. It's about moving away things from very centralized parties or startups or governments or banks and coming up with crowd alternatives where we as the people can pick up on things and bring this movement about. And therefore I'm very happy to be in this room with you because I know you guys will impact a lot of lives by the solutions that you'll create. And this is a movement, and you're going to be an example for a lot of other people to challenge existing business models with totally decentralized things. So just to highlight some things I get very excited about, of course, is the ledger, the mega Excel sheet that we share with the world, which makes us makes it possible for us to universally transact in a very trusted way. But I think the whole technology behind it starts to become mega interesting. Like the file system behind probably the new blockchain thing is going to be IPFS. It's called the Interplanetary File System. And this basically shows like what kind of ambition is behind this whole movement that is now starting. We're not just thinking in small countries anymore, or organizations or whatever. We're thinking globally, we're thinking universally, and we're thinking about solutions that are going to impact everyone instead of just a local thing. And that makes me very, very happy. The whole blockchain movement, but I will do this in another thing, but I think the biggest thing is that it will bring universal trust and transparency for people and organizations, but also to all the devices that we're all going to be connected to in the future. And I think in the future we will shift to autonomy, sovereignty and mutualism for almost everything around us, and it excites me. One of the biggest things that I think will make an impact is this thing from philosophy called the prisoner's dilemma. I don't know if anybody dares to explain it. Yeah, Katie looks very enthusiastically. Yeah, anybody else?
Yeah, I can.
Yeah,
I tricked myself last time.
exactly.
So there are two prisoners.
Yeah.
And it's always the question whether one should talk or he should shut up.
Yeah.
But the problem is that he can never be sure what the other person said. So in the end, both people should always never talk.
Yeah.
That is the correct answer. But in the end, one person can talk, and then the other person, he would get a reduced. No. This person would get a reduced sentence, but the other person would be fucked more or less. The same if the other person would start talking. So in the end, it would just be better if none of them would talk.
Yeah. Okay. That's what I tried to symbolize in that picture. Basically the whole thing is that in our human nature we basically screw over each other by the choices that we make. So every time we consume something or every time we do something, because we don't have the full context information of what is happening or where it's from or whatever, we make very easy choices that only benefit us and might have a bad impact on other people in the world. I think that's one of the biggest changes with blockchain, that we're going to see the context of every product and every transaction that we do, and thereby the impact of everything that we do. And therefore there will be a shift from responsibility from producers to us as consumers to change the world. And therefore I hope we can all push for this. I saw this in a Winnie the Pooh book. What day is it? Ask Pooh. It's a day we show the system how we can break it, said Piglet. And that's my favorite day, said Pooh. And that's exactly what this day is about. It's the start of breaking the system that's already been in place and challenging it with new business models. And this is why I'm very excited. And I think it's a revolution. Like I said before, I think centralized institutions, they will get challenged with local alternatives. I saw this homeless person with a Bitcoin address. I think this is the future of how crazy it will get. But yeah, anyway. And to put it into perspective, people like suns. So I draw like a big giant sun to show you the impact of what blockchain is going to have on the world. I think the internet was just like this tiny dwarf, but the blockchain is going to create a big movement, and I'm very proud to be involved in this movement. Another term you're going to hear constantly is the ICO, and maybe one of you guys, because you're really into this blockchain space, will do an ICO. So basically it's fundraising by issuing your own coin on the blockchain, and it's totally unregulated, and it's like one giant cowboy arena, but I'm very hoping that one of you guys will challenge it and go for it. And this is basically happening, like the traditional venture capital is getting bypassed by people going for ICOs. And and this is something like the whole thing has to do with regulation. Basically issuing your coin, it's like issuing shares, and this is something that is heavily regulated, or issuing a security. So a lot of startups pretend that they're fully legal or whatever, but it's a gray area, and don't trust anyone in the field that's confident about it. It's one giant messy system, but you guys probably know this. And this is like my last thing, why Brightlands? This is the part where I really start preaching normally, but look at this beautiful planet. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to freestyle this a bit, but what it comes down to is that we're all citizens of this beautiful Earth, and in spite of our differences, the planet is what we all have in common. And the truth is, we did not inherit this planet from our parents, but we borrow it from our children. And therefore we believe in having a purpose beyond profit, a purpose where we and many generations to come will all benefit, planet included. And we're now living in a time where no longer a single organizational sector can solve global challenges on its own. And that's why at Brightlands we believe in research and development that crosses disciplines, organizational and geographical borders to find new sustainable solutions together. And at Brightlands there are no dreams too large and no innovation unimaginable and no frontiers beyond our reach. And so imagine with all your mind and believe with all your heart, and together we can make it all a reality. Because people who are actually crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do. And we are the people of Brightlands, and together we are shaping the future of human. Hallelujah. One last thing, one more thing. It's the new definition of billionaire. I heard it 2 weeks ago, and I really like it. A billionaire is someone who positively impacts the lives of 1 billion people, not someone who earns 1 billion euros. So I hope you all be billionaires in the future in the new definition. And it's a high five moment.